Shalom, brothers and sisters from wherever you're watching us from. Welcome to this week's episode. Last week we had some good time in looking at Genesis chapter 25 and looked at the story of Abraham's death. We also looked at Ishmael and his sons, and also we were introduced into the birth of Jacob and Esau. And today we have a beautiful episode in chapter 26. We're going to be looking at Isaac and one of the kings whom his father encountered before in our previous chapters, that is King Abimelek. And this is what the Bible says. Now there was famine in the land beside the previous famine in Abraham's time, and Isaac went to Abimelek, king of Philistine, in Gerar. The Lord appeared to Isaac and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land where I tell you to live. Stay in this land. Stay in this land for a while, and I will be with you, and I will bless you. For to you and your descendants I will give all these lands, and will confirm the oath I swore to your father Abraham. I will make your descendants as numerous as the stars in the sky, and will give them all this land. And through your offspring, all nations on earth will be blessed. Because Abraham obeyed me and did everything I required of him, keeping my commands, my decrees, and my instructions." So Isaac stayed in Gerar. When the men of the place asked him about his wife, he said, "She is my sister," because he was afraid to say, "She is my wife." He thought the men of this place might kill me. He thought the men of this place might kill me on account of Rebekah, because she is beautiful. When Isaac had been there a long time, Abimelek, king of Philistine, looked down from a window and saw Isaac caressing his wife Rebekah. So Abimelek summoned Isaac and said, "She's really your wife. Why did you say she's my sister?" Isaac answered, "Because I thought I might lose my life on account of her." Then Abimelek said, "What is this that you have done to us? One of the men might well have slept with your wife, and you would have brought guilt upon us." Abimelek gave orders to all the people, "Anyone who harms this man or his wife shall surely be put to death." Isaac planted crops in the land, and the same year reaped 100 folds, because the Lord blessed him. The man became rich, and his wealth continued to grow until he became very wealthy. He had so many flocks and herds and servants that the Philistines evaded him. So all the wells that his father's servants had dug in the time of his father Abraham, the Philistines stopped up, filling them with earth. Then Abimelek said to Isaac, "Move away from us. You've become too powerful for us." So Isaac moved away from the camp in the valley of Gerar, where he seated. Isaac reopened the wells that had been dug in the time of his father Abraham, which the Philistines had stopped up after Abraham died, and he gave them the same name his father had given them. Isaac's servant dug in the valley and discovered a well of fresh water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with those of Isaac, said, "The water is ours." So he named the well Esek, and because they disputed with him. Then they dug another well, but they quarreled over that one also, and he named it Sitna. He moved on from there and dug another well, and no one quarreled over it, and he named it Rehoboth. saying, "Now the Lord has given us room, and we will flourish in the land." Verse 23. From there he went up to Beersheba. That night the Lord appeared to him and said, "I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not be afraid, for I am with you. I will bless you, and I will increase the number of your descendants for the sake of my servant Abraham." Isaac built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord. There he pitched his tent, and there his servants dug a well. Meanwhile, Abimelek had come to him from Gerar, and Ahuzah, his personal advisor, and Phicol, the commander of the forces. Isaac said to them, "Why have you come to see me, since you are hostile to me and sent me away?" They answered, "We saw clearly that the Lord was with you." He said, So we said, "There ought to be a sworn agreement between us and you. Let us make a treaty with you that will do us no harm, just as we did not harm you, but always treated you well and sent you away peacefully. And now you are blessed by the Lord." Isaac then made a feast for them, and they ate and drank. Early the next morning, the men swore an oath to each other. Then Isaac sent them on their way, and they went away peaceably. Verse 32. That day Isaac's servants came and told him about the well they had dug. They said, "We found water." He called it Sheba, and to this day the name of the town has been Beersheba. Verse 34. When Isaac was 40 years old, he married Judith, daughter of Beri the Hittite, and also Basemath, daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. Now, friends, this is a very beautiful chapter to look at it. One, there is an exciting history that is repeating itself when it comes to Abraham. During the time of Abraham, if you remember, there was famine in his land, and he did exactly the same thing that his son did. And what is happening here? Isaac ends up actually lying to the men of that land by saying that Rebekah was his a sister. And what happens one day when the king, of course, is looking from a place, he notices that these people are harassing, and he calls him. He asks, "So why have you planned to bring us such kind of a disaster?" And he calls all the men actually and tells them, "You're not supposed to take this man's wife or harm him." And actually he says, "Anyone who touches this man shall be put to death." A few things to note here. One, Isaac was becoming powerful each and every day. When you read actually from verse 12, the Bible talks of him planting crops, and he reaped 100-fold. And actually, when this paragraph is coming to an end, the king himself decides to send him away because he thinks that he's becoming more powerful than them. And when you look actually at this chapter very well, you notice that everything that Isaac is doing, God is making it prosperous. You look at verse 19, when he's digging wells and getting water. They're having quarrels. Finally, he finds a well, and he calls it Rehoboth. And in verse 25, God speaks to him. Actually, it's verse 24, and he says, "I am the God of your father Abraham." You remember, God had promised Abraham that he will make him a father of nations, or he will make a nation out of him. And he had promised to bless him. And you can see these blessings actually coming through the son, through the son Isaac. And it is so interesting that God is making his promises to be fulfilled, some of them actually in the next generation that Abraham actually had, and that is Isaac. And also, when the chapter is coming to an end, you see the people actually of that land thought of it and said, this guy might become so powerful and he might harm us. And they decide to come and make a treaty with him. And because of this, Isaac decides to make a feast for them, and they take oaths and they agree that no one, after they have become rich enough, no one will harm the other. And this chapter actually ends with bad news. The Bible talks of Esau having wives. That is, he got married to Judith, and also Beeri, the Hittite. And also there is another woman called Basemath, the daughter of Elon. And this, the Bible says that they were a source of grief to Isaac and Rebekah. A few insights on this chapter. It is so evident that God had decided to make his promises, or some of his promises, fulfilled through his son Isaac. And you can see actually how Isaac was faithful to God. The Bible talks of him even building an altar to God in verse 25. And this would show that his father, Abraham, had taught him the ways of the Lord, and he had decided diligently to follow him. But in contrast, on the other side, his son Esau decides to marry women who will bring sorrow to him and to the wife. And this is so frustrating, especially when it comes to a family setup, because you see, if these three women were bringing grief to the parents, then it must have been a big grief, because it is written in the Bible. And also, you can imagine how these parents lived in their last ages. So a few insights there. I hope you have more from this chapter. Let us know in the comment section. I hope to see you, all of you, next week. May God bless you. Shalom.